Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Today we're going to jump right into it. I'm not going to hold you long. I'm going to talk about PIPs. All right. I wanted to give you a simple guide to initiate a PIP and when you should initiate one. All right. So if you don't know me, my name is Bilquis. I'm an RN and Certified Director of Nursing in Administration and Long-Term Care, and I'm the creator of the DON Training Program. And I wanted to talk about performance improvement plan. All right. So I've seen this keep coming up in a couple posts in some social media. So I just said, you know what, let's just jump into it on here. All right. So what exactly is a performance improvement plan? All right. It is just a simple process that you put in place to identify areas of opportunity in your facility. All right, that's it. All right, I think sometimes, let's put policy in your facility. I think sometimes we read too much into it and lose focus on it. All right, so a lot of times people think a performance improvement plan has to be this huge thing, putting goals on there that you can't even meet. So I like to keep it realistic to what it is that you can do in your facility. All right, it doesn't have to be something that's so large. All right, you want to make sure that it's something that's manageable, realistic that not only you but your team can keep up with. All right, so when should you initiate a PIP? All right, you should initiate this anytime you identify an area of opportunity. And I don't mean like you might have a large facility and you might find something on one unit. Okay, I'm meaning you have had issues going on and you have seen it widespread throughout your facility. That's when you really want to start diving in and getting down to the root cause on what is going on and why are we having these issues. Okay, so for example, I use hospital transfers. All right, so my example was hospital transfers, something that you might review in your morning meeting. You noticed that you had 20 hospital transfers last month, and out of the 20, only 13 had proper documentation on what was all needed for that patient to go out to the hospital. That included documentation for your notification of transfer prior to going out, as well as the bed hold policy. Okay, so this is when you would initiate that. Why? Because you had 20 people go out and only 13 people had the proper documentation, right, to keep you compliant. So when this is when you should initiate that, right? Because we want to get compliant as quickly as we possibly can. We don't want to keep saying, oh, you know what? Oh, somebody didn't do this again. Oh man, you know what? No, let's dive right in. Let's get it while it's still manageable. All right. And here are the steps that you can do to initiate your performance improvement plan. All right. 1, identify the problem. Okay. For example, I just said we had hospital transfers. The problem was we had 13 people who were only compliant with their paperwork that went out to the hospital, right? So we have identified the problem, right? So that's the problem, is the hospital transfers. Now, immediately, you're going to set goals for this, right? And immediately, you want to correct the issue, all right? Correct the issue. Your education is always going to be top priority. Why? Because if you have an issue in your facility, an area of opportunity, that means there's some form of gaps in knowledge in the facility, right? And what people are supposed to be doing. So you always want to start with education, all right? And I put communication down here, but we want to put that up top because you want to make sure that everybody can understand what is going on, why you're doing it, and how it's going to be monitored. Okay, so not only are you setting immediate goals, but you're going in an action plan. You're also going to monitor this process long term. Okay, because what happens? We do a PIP for 90 days. That 90 days goes by. Next, we forgot about it because we have something else going on, and then meantime, nobody still monitors that process where they're at least doing a monthly audit, okay? And when you are having your PIP, this is all going to come to your QAPI meeting that you have every month. All right, so when you are putting your PIP in place, whatever area of opportunity that you have identified in your facility, you educate, you correct, and then you start doing your monitoring process, okay? And then when you are in that monitoring phase, you're always going to have someone that is accountable for whatever portion of that PIP that they are covering, okay? Because we need to make sure that we are like 100% compliant when we are finished with this PIP, okay? So that means you'll have like, for example, the DON, right? But if the DON isn't available, it can't just be the DON. You always need to have a backup, right, in case you're not there. So then it'll be DON / designee, right? Okay, why? Because we want to make sure that we have a backup so that then the steps aren't getting missed, all right? And then tracking, like I said, tracking, when you first initiate your PIP, you typically do tracking like daily, and then it would go to weekly, and then it'll be bi-weekly, and then monthly, right? Depending on how long, all right? And the one thing that I have to make sure that I put in here is that when you are setting your goals, you have to make sure you have a timeline in there, all right? You have to make sure you have a target. What target are you trying to reach, all right? The late Zig Ziglar always says, you can't hit a target that you can't see. So if you don't know visually from a number perspective, what is it that you're trying to, what target are you trying to meet? You're not going to meet it. Why? Because this is like, that goal is just out there wandering aimlessly without any type of target or timeline to give you to even meet that goal, okay? So that's the other thing I want you to start putting in place. So when you are doing that, setting that goal, make sure you have the timeline, the target, okay? What's your target date? Excuse me. Then you're tracking, like I said, it could be daily, weekly, or monthly. But then you always want to make sure you bring it back to your QAPI meeting. And the one thing I like about PIPs is it's a work in progress. All right, it's not going to be perfect the first time. You're going to have time where you're going to have to rework it because you might have thought you've educated perfectly, right? But then you realize that, damn, I missed a step. So then you have to go back and you have to rework the process again. All right, and that's the one thing I love about PIPs, because it's realistic, right? And sometimes you just don't know if you put all the steps in place until it now comes to that, okay, let's do that audit, let's do that monitoring, and then you realize that, oh, damn, I forgot to add step 3 for, you know, when somebody's going out to the hospital, make sure you do X, Y, Z, right? You might miss a step. All right, so that's why it's very important to educate but monitoring, and then just working that process. Just keep working that process until you meet 100% compliance on what it is that you have identified that's an issue in your facility. All right, and communicate the plan. Like I said, I prefer it to be up top. I should have had it up top because you always want to communicate the plan with your team. All right. Hey guys, this is what we have identified. We identified that we had 20 hospital transfers. Only 13 had the proper documentation. We have areas of improvement that we need to do. So boom, we're going to start with education. Okay, pull that policy. What is supposed to be going on when somebody goes out to the hospital? Make it even simpler. Have a checklist. Have packets of what it is to be done every time someone goes out to the hospital. Your off shifts are educated. Your supervisors are educated on making sure that they deliver that packet, or they are the person who is responsible for getting that paperwork completed. All right, this is to help you maintain your compliance, right? And then you bring it to your morning meeting as you do. Okay, you know, we look at hospital transfers every morning in our morning clinical. Then you should be bringing that paperwork with you to make sure that, okay, Bilquis went out to the hospital. This is everything that we did. We had the SBAR for her. We had the notification. We had the bed hold policy. just everything that you would want your staff to do to maintain your compliance comes to that morning clinical, your monthly QAPI meeting. It comes there, because when you are in your QAPI meeting, these are the things that you're going over. All right, you're saying, hey, this is the PIP that we have going on right now, and this is where we are. All right, and it's a work in progress, guys. So I don't want you to get so stressed out about it, but I want you to make sure whatever PIP that you do is realistic. I don't recommend doing more than 3 PIPs at a time, simply because it can become overwhelming, because you might have other things going on in your facility. So I recommend not doing more than 3 PIPs at a time, and then just working that process. All right, so that's what I want to share for you today. So let's stop overthinking. Let's get our PIPs. Let's identify these areas of opportunity now, so that we can correct them, so that we can have a successful year and a successful survey. All right, like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, follow for more tips.